Hello, hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle. We talk all things life, love, spirituality, love attraction, all of that juicy goodness. In this video, I'm going to share how you know that your loved ones that have crossed over to the other side are still with you and they're communicating to you. This is one of the biggest things that I teach in my intuitive readings and something that I learned firsthand in my life after the loss of my daughter back in 2012. And it has been the greatest blessing in my life. And I believe that her and I have this soul contract that we chose to go through this experience. And as I just said that, I don't know if you guys caught my eyes, but I looked up into the left corner. And this is an example. She's showing up right now talking to me. Before I rented this apartment, I came in and it was blank, right? Nothing on the walls, nothing on the floor. And I was feeling the floors squeaking. And I was like, I don't really know if I'm going to want this. It's kind of annoying to listen to. And in that moment, I was being a little superficial and I paused and looked up and I saw a heart on the wall. The painters must have painted the wall a different sheen. You know how there you can have like an eggshell finish, a flat finish. Well, it looks like there was a flat finish and then somebody painted over it with like an eggshell shinier finish and they missed a spot. So when the sun hits it a certain way, there's a heart shape on the wall in the flat finish and then everything around it is glossy. And I'll take a picture and I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see it. But this is a sign that our loved ones are always communicating with us. You know, hearts are my sign with my daughter. I have a heart on my finger and a heart here on my chest. This is where she was when she passed away. So I wanted to kind of mark myself with her. And I believe that the communication gets stronger, the connection gets stronger, and they're always trying to communicate with us. And when I sit in readings and people come to me when they're grieving and they're struggling and they're wondering why this happened. Why did this person have to leave? I love them. They were my favorite person in the whole entire world. And I love kind of coaching them through the process of grief. And as we move into that victimhood mentality, which is natural and it's good and it's healthy, like, why did this happen to me? And then we grieve it. And it's really just pure love. But at some point, your loved one is going to reach out to you. They're going to want to say, hey, it's time. It's time to use this for good. It is time to get out of bed. It is time to maybe stop going to the cemetery so much. You can still honor your loved one by living your life and by getting out there and sharing your story. So my story happened back in 2012. I was pregnant and it was beautiful. I was really, really blessed to get pregnant so quickly. My partner and I were together about 7 or 8 years. And we decided to start a family. And we weren't fond of marriage at the time. I didn't witness a healthy marriage growing up. And now looking back, it was kind of all of my trauma playing out, my resistance to commitment. And he was kind of cool with it too. So we're like, let's just start a family and see where this goes, you know? And we got pregnant pretty quickly, did the chalkboard updates with my belly getting bigger. We did the reveal party. They told us I was having a boy, which was wrong. They even pointed to the, you know what, on the ultrasound. We did the bakery tinted the cake blue for us. We cut the cake. It was a surprise. We didn't know. We saw, oh my gosh, we're having a boy. So we named him Micah William. And as my pregnancy went on, 3 days before I delivered, I was measuring pretty big. So they wanted to do an emergency ultrasound. And I was carrying a lot of fluid. Well, it turns out because my daughter was born with a muscle disorder, which we would have found out later, I was carrying extra fluid because she was not swallowing the amniotic fluid because of her muscle disorder. If you think about your diaphragm and all of your digestive system, everything is using muscles. So that was our first red flag that the doctors and the technician did not catch. And looking back, it was perfect. It was meant to happen. But 3 days before I delivered, the technician was on my belly going, wow, she is really swimming around in here. And I was like, hold the phone. I was like, no, sorry, we're having a boy. It's Micah William. The boy room is done. We already did the baby shower. Boy clothes are in the closet. And I did interior decorating for 6 years as a side gig from teaching. So the room was like an awesome boy room. And she tells me it's a girl at this appointment. I start to like lose my shit internally. Tears are streaming down my face going, wait, like I'm such a planner. Everything in my life needs to be organized. And that's another trauma wounding for me was when things weren't perfect. it felt like I was going to get in trouble because that's how I was raised. So going through all of that, it was like a tornado. As soon as that appointment happened 3 days before I delivered, that's when it began. And fast forward, she was alive for 6 weeks. She was born with this muscle disorder. We kept her name Micah. She was Micah Dillon. Dillon was going to be my girl name, but since we found out she was a boy at our 18-week appointment, we switched it to Micah, which is another version of Michelle. It means one who was like God. And I was not spiritual back then at all. So how cool is it that I named her that, named him that in the beginning? And I had no idea that it was a connection. And this is her beautiful photo. Isn't she so cute? Look at her eyes. Her eyes were like so soulful. I feel like we look a lot alike. She had that same skin tone as me. Yeah, I just love, look at her little wrinkles on her chest and her little fist underneath her lips. She had the most plump lips too. So when she was alive, she went through all of this testing and they did not diagnose her. So she passed away. She ended up declining. And I know I'm kind of rushing through the story, but I'm here to teach you about how, when they do cross over, how do they connect with us? How do they still talk to us? And how does the bond get stronger? So I'll post another video here of where I went into detail about her story a little bit more. I'm trying to remember when I posted that, but I'll figure it out. But it was 6 weeks of basically hell, right? I just had a C-section because of the amniotic fluid pooling and her not swallowing it, she was like floating. She wasn't dropping. So I ended up having an emergency C-section after like, I don't even know how many hours of labor. That was a whole nother story. It was so painful. Then we have the C-section. Then she's not moving her arms and legs and she's struggling to breathe. We get helevaced to CHOP, a children's hospital in Philadelphia, just over the bridge. And then we're there for 6 weeks. I'm waking up every day. I'm not even supposed to be like moving too much after the C-section, but I'm getting up and going into Philly every single day to be with her. We couldn't stay overnight there. So it was like complete hell. And every day we'd go in and there'd be new doctors coming in, poking her, prodding her, MRIs, needles. One time she had an IV in her scalp because her veins in her arms were so tiny. So like seeing all of this alone was really, really traumatic. And at the end of the 6 weeks, she started to decline. And the doctors sat us down and said, hey, we need to talk about the quality of life. And I was like, wait, what? I thought like she was just going to be a child with a disability and we'd have a wheelchair and, she might have a breathing tube or something, or just an assistance, right? For maybe the first like year. And they were like, no, this is like more serious. So we made the decision to see if she could survive without the oxygen. So we chose to take her off of the oxygen. We were fully prepared. We baptized her. We did all these beautiful things before that day. And she was with us until about 6:16 p.m. on August 29th in 2012. So that's when she took her last breath in my arms, on my chest. My partner was with me and we were in the hospital. So we were prepared. It wasn't super sudden. It wasn't scary. She had medicine, so she didn't suffer. And from the moment she passed, I was different, as anybody would be. And it was a different kind of different. It was just like I felt like I could even get emotional just thinking about it. I was scared because I was just like, wait, where's my life going? I thought she was going to be a boy. And then she's born and she has this muscle disorder. And now I'm like, what is going on? I'm only 29. I can't handle this. I don't know. Like my siblings all have healthy kids. We've never had anybody with any kind of health issue. I've never had any kind of issues. And I just was like, I woke up the next morning after she passed and I was like, who am I? And what am I supposed to do now? Like my purpose is gone. As much as that was a tornado, I kind of wanted it. Not that I wanted it to be a tornado, but I wanted her, obviously. And then a part of me was happy that she was gone because it was so painful to experience all of that and to watch her. I felt like she was suffering and she couldn't verbalize it. So there were so many emotions and she still was not diagnosed. So I'm sitting there wondering, can I have more kids? Is this going to continue to happen? Is this genetic? Like, what is this? They don't even know what it was. And and then 6 months later, we get a letter in the mail saying, hey, we've diagnosed your daughter. Please come into CHOP. So we go in, apparently they took a muscle biopsy from her quadricep and they found out she had a very rare form of a myopathy called Nemaline myopathy. And there was only like 2 babies born in the US with this myopathy, and they don't make it past the first year of life. And I had blogged this entire journey, her blog. I'll link that here too. I had a woman just randomly, she was reaching out to me. This is another way that our loved ones reach out to us. She was reaching out to me from Australia, and she had gone through the same experience. She had lost her daughter from Nemaline myopathy, and she found my blog. Like, what are the odds of her finding my blog? And she reached out to me and was like, I am just like you. I am so sorry for your loss. And we just communicated, and it was really, really beautiful. Micah brought her to me. You know, I found another mom who could relate. And it was still such a whirlwind. But a couple months after she had passed, when we got that confirmation of what it was, my whole body could relax. I was like, okay, I don't need to sit with this guilt that I did something wrong. I can like do something with this now. I can move forward feeling like everything's okay. We got an answer. So as I began to pick up the pieces of my life, I took off from work for about 6 months, which was so nice. And I was so grateful for my teaching job at the time with the health insurance. That medical bill at the end of the 6 weeks was astronomical. It was, I think, close to like $800,000. So thank God I had good insurance. I mean, the helicopter ride alone was like a $5,000 charge, I think. Maybe it was a little bit less. I don't remember the exact number, and I don't want to be wrong, but just ballpark. We would look at the medical every time a doctor would come in and just touch her. They would be making so much money, which was great too. Like, you know, they deserve it. But at the same time, it was just like, how do people survive without medical insurance when these things happen? So if that opened up my awareness to have more compassion for people who are going through these things, and it's ongoing, like if they're years and years in a hospital. So as I began to pick up the pieces, I started to get back into working out. I was really, really depressed. I had suicidal thoughts. And she passed in August, and this was in October when I was having the suicidal thoughts. And we didn't get the diagnosis until like December, I think. So I was still in this unknown for a big chunk of time after she had passed. So one of my friends was like, let's go. We need to get you working out. Let's go take a class. So we went to this personal trainer where he did like these small boot camp classes in a local town. And I just started to feel a little bit better. For the 45 minutes that I was working out, I felt amazing. And the rest of the day, it was kind of like just survival. Well, the one day, this is how my signs began. I was making a protein shake, and I used something called greens. They were like super greens, and it was a powder. And I was scooping the powder out, and I was looking at the inside of the container, and it's green, right? The powder is green. So on the side, it's all green. And then there was this perfect heart. I even have a photo of it. I'll post it here. There was this perfect heart, and it was white. It was like the original color of the container. And I don't know how I knew it. I don't know. I just dropped to my knees in the kitchen, and I just started bawling, crying, and I felt her presence. And the name of my blog was We Heart Micah. So heart, the word heart has always been there, but I never really connected it because I didn't think she was going to pass away when I was blogging about it all. But from that day forward, hearts became my sign from her. And it has been the most magical experience of my entire life. This is my life. And coming back to me getting this apartment and seeing a heart on the wall, and you guys can see I have hearts everywhere. Everything in this apartment is a gift from somebody. These two little pink hearts, that was from a girl named Rachel, who I played field hockey with in college. This heart dream catcher is made actually from a hula hoop from one of my students. He told my story. I used to share my story in my classroom. He went home and shared my story with his aunt, and she makes these beautiful dream catchers. So she made me that. This other heart is from my friend Joy, who I went to high school with, but we reconnected later in life. She's also a Reiki practitioner. So all of these hearts, this little corkboard heart is from Sherry and Catherine. They're two good friends. I did readings for them. So it is amazing how magical my life has become because of my daughter's experience here. And I do believe that our loved ones, that's the purpose. They leave to show us what unconditional love really is. Like all of these people showering me with gifts, that's teaching me how to be more kind, how to be more loving. I saw people show up for me in the most magical ways. And they weren't even my friends. They were doing things for me just because they had gone through a loss and they understand what it feels like. And I also believe that it's Micah moving through them to give me what I needed to help me survive. You know, a lot of parents don't survive the loss of their children. And you guys know, if you're a parent watching this, you know what I'm talking about. When Micah was born, I cried instantly at the sound of her cry. As soon as I heard her voice, I was crying. It is this deep, deep soul bond that you cannot even describe. And for me, it is really hard to describe because I don't even know what she would have looked like. I don't know what she would have sounded like or what her voice, you know, her talking, because she was only 6 weeks old when she passed. So for me to feel the amount of love that I feel for her, and I don't even know her, is so magical and so beautiful. And that's why I wanted to share this video, is because our loved ones, she is reaching out to me every single day in some way. I'm getting a heart from somebody every single day, but nobody would have known about the hearts if I somebody's calling me. Okay, so that was really weird. One of my graduates, who's now, I think she's a nurse now, she literally just called me, and she is somebody who always sends me hearts. So how wild is that? She butt dialed me. She was literally talking to somebody else. But that is how our loved ones communicate. Like, how cool is it that that happened? I was even like startled. I'm sure you guys could see my face. I was like, what's going on right now? Why is my phone ringing? Um, and my camera goes off when my phone rings. So anyway, I can't wait to text her later and be like, did you know you butt dialed me in the middle of me creating a video about Micah and signs? So thank you, Micah. And that's important too. Like, we always have to communicate to our loved ones and thank them when they show up for us. I still can't believe that happened, but I can. So anyway, these hearts became a thing because I chose to speak up. I chose to talk about my loss. And all of you guys have gone through something in your life, and you're being called to use it. You're being called to share it. You know, I have created a life for myself now filled with magic and joy and people learning about love through the signs. And if I didn't speak up and share my story with all of my students and all of my friends and now clients for the past 12 years, my life wouldn't be this way. So we can let loss cripple us and keep us in our suffering and in our victimhood, or we can do something with it. And your loved ones left so that you could do something with it, so that you could be strong, so that you could feel the unconditional love from the other side. I always say, if you can see this door behind me, when our loved ones pass, they're literally just walking into the next door. They're in the next room. They're still here. They can still hear you. We might not be able to see them because a wall is blocking us, but they can hear us. They can send us signs. They can show up in our phone, interrupting a video with a phone call. So please talk to them. Let them know that you hear them. Let them ask them for help. You know, when I was apartment shopping, I said, Micah, please show mommy the right place. I get to the front door. There was a leaf in the shape of a heart on the doormat. I come into the apartment. I'm walking around with the girl, Melissa, who is showing me the place. I paused, looked, and I saw the heart on the wall. They show up to let us know we're exactly where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there. And we have to open ourselves up to this communication. And here's another example. Yesterday was 111, and I always know that the veil is thinner around these portal times, around full moons and new moons. It was a new moon. And my dad had passed away in 2021, and he was in my dream the night before. And I woke up, and he doesn't come to me often in my dreams. So when he does, I'm like, okay, this is some sort of message. And he came to me in my dream. Me and my sister Julie were in our living room, and there was like a big tree in the middle of the living room for some reason. And my sister was talking about how she took a leap of faith and she was so proud of herself. And meanwhile, my sister in this reality hasn't taken any leaps of faith. And I know that she's open to it, but in the dream, she had done it. And my dad always used to say, kudos. He was like, kudos, babe. I'm so proud of you. And I could hear his voice so clearly. And then at that moment, the tree cracked and fell. It didn't break anything. In my dream, I just saw this tree break, and I was just like, what does that mean? Is it like us breaking the family line? We're starting something new. We're chasing our dreams. We're not staying in something that's uncomfortable. There was so much symbolism in that dream. And then my brother, which my brother doesn't really send me signs too often. He's not super into it. He believes in it, but he's not the type to text me a heart. You know, if anything, my sister-in-law will, or his daughters will. So my brother texts me yesterday and he says, Michelle, my bell is on the radio right now at work. And my dad always used to sing that to me, the Beatles song. And my heart swelled when my brother texted me that. I was like, oh my God, my brother thought to send me a sign from my dad, and he worked with my dad. It's a family company. So my brother's at work every day having to deal with working without my dad, which is really sad. But he's paying attention to the communication and he's acting on it. He heard the song that my dad used to sing to me and he texted it to me. Then I go to this side store that we have here. It's called 7-Eleven, and the cashier's name is Michelle. I see it on her name tag, and I obviously say something. I'm like, yo, girl. I was like, I didn't know your name was Michelle, because I've talked to her so many times. I was like, my name's Michelle too. And she goes, is it two L's? And I was like, yeah. And we always joke that one L is like whatever. But I said to her, I was like, you're not going to believe this. I was like, I just was texting my brother and he was saying how he heard the song Michelle My Belle in at work, on the radio at work. And she goes, yeah, my grandmother used to sing that to me and she passed away. And I was like, oh, my dad used to sing that to me and he passed away. So we had this little moment as I'm buying candy for my nieces, about to go pick them up from school from the bus stop. And I get back in my Jeep. Guess what happens? My sister-in-law, who also works with my brother at the same business, it's a family business, she's in a house behind the shop where I think the music still plays in both areas. So she texts me that the song was on again. She goes, Michelle, my bell's on again. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was in a group chat between my sister-in-law and my brother. And I'm like, you're not going to believe this, but I was just talking about that song in 7-Eleven. I get into my Jeep and here you are texting about it again. Like, what is dad trying to tell us? And it was like all of these signs and synchronicities, and it was so beautiful and powerful. And I could feel my dad's presence. He was making himself known. And in my Jeep, I paused, I stopped everything, turned off the radio, and I said, Dad, I love you so much. Thank you for showing up in Davey's life and Stacy's life, my brother and my sister-in-law, because he, you know, I don't know how much they believe, but I thanked him for showing up in their life to bring them comfort, for showing up into my phone. And it was just like this beautiful day of magic. And I'm still even thinking about that phone call. That graduate has never, ever, ever called me. Maybe she's texted me a heart, but she's never called me on the phone. And the fact that she called me during this video is so cool. That's my daughter moving through her to reach me. And she often moves through my graduates, the people that I used to share her with. I used to stand in my classroom and I used to teach all of these kids about life and about how to appreciate the small things and to chase your dreams and to not settle. And I was like a life coaching class in high school. And now all of those kids, I was planting those beautiful seeds back when they were 16, 17 years old. And now they are in their 30s and they're still reaching out to me saying they remember the lesson, they remember the love, they see the hearts, they understand that loved ones do connect with us. And it is a beautiful thing. And I can't stress it enough. Your loved ones are literally, they're just in the next room and they're wanting you to talk about them. They're wanting you to share their experiences and how they impacted your life. And they want you to continue saying their name. If I could count the amount of times Micah's name has been said in this lifetime, considering she was only alive for 6 weeks, it is absurd. And I know I'm going to write a book about this whole story one day and it's going to be magical. But until then, like, I want to teach all of you the magic of loss. It's magical. It's not a horrific thing. We have to start seeing it as a beautiful thing. Their soul, whoever passed away, it was just their time. They came to learn some lessons and now they're moving into the next room and they're doing some other things in those rooms. They're learning more lessons. Maybe they're guiding us now. Maybe they're helping us learn our lessons before we transition and move into the other room with them. Everything is a part of our soul's growth. And I am here to motivate you to share your story, to be okay with somebody crossing over. Okay, we have to get used to this. We have to get open and feel into the love that can still be felt even if they're physically not here to hug us and to touch us and to kiss us and to love us. Okay, it is just as strong. I can feel my dad as if he's right here, putting his arms around me, saying, "Babe, I love that you're making this video. You're doing such a good job spreading my story." And my dad's signs are insane. He sends me 37s all the time. That was his baseball number. He sends me bees because he used to buzz in my ear in high school to wake me up. It was the cutest way to wake up. He'd use his little mustache and he'd tickle my face. So he sends me signs too. So what are your signs? How are your loved ones trying to reach out to you? And if you don't have a single sign that you can think of, sometimes it could be feathers, could be cardinals, hawks, eagles, pennies, dimes, ladybugs. It could be a certain song. It could be a certain piece of clothing. I don't know. You have to figure out what it is. And if you don't have one, ask. Say, "Grandma, send me a sign, send me a purple butterfly today." And if it shows up, now you know that that is your communication tool. Okay. I really want to help people understand that when people pass away, it is not the end. It is not the end of us. It is the beginning of a new love story. So please open yourself up to these signs. Know that they are literally just in the other room, and then you can ask them for anything and they will find you and bring it to you. Okay. And if you're not getting the thing you're asking for, there might be a lesson in there. So then ask, show me what I need to learn here. Show me how I need to change in order for me to do this thing or to receive this manifestation. Your loved ones are the best manifestation helpers. You can ask them to bring your manifestations. Trust me, I go into stores all the time and I'm like, "Micah, help mommy find the perfect pair of shorts for the best price ever." I'm always speaking out loud because I know she's just in the next room and she can hear me. And the fact that she made a phone call come in while I'm filming, which doesn't happen very often, and I got it on camera, that's proof. That is her showing off, saying, "Yes, listen to my mom. She knows what she's talking about." Our loved ones are literally with us. So take this video with you, send it to somebody who's lost somebody, and invigorate them to move beyond the victimhood. Yes, it happened to us in the beginning and we can be really sad about it and our body can feel pain and suffering. Believe me, I had 11 years of grief. But at some point, our loved ones will reach out to us and say, "It's time. It's time to get out of the victimhood. It's time to see that I'm in the room next to you and we are here to share our love and to spread the message that this is a part of life and we do not need to crumble when this happens. We need to rise like the phoenix that we all have within us." Okay, so like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for connecting your energy to mine. Thank you for supporting me and my channel, and look out for the hearts. When you see a heart, I want you to think of my Micah and me, and this is our mission together. We are changing the world with love. The hearts represent love from God and the universe, and that you're protected and you're always being taken care of. So please let that sink in and walk through life knowing that you are safe and protected. All right, lovies, I will see you in the next one. Peace out.